Hey, everybody. Welcome back to It's Okay to Be Okay. Today, I am here with, of course, Buck and Melissa Meckhamson, and we are honored to have a very special guest, Wyn Morgan. Wyn Morgan is a longtime three principles teacher, mentor, facilitator. He has worked alongside and learned from some of the leaders of the three principles, and he himself I view as an amazing leader and teacher, and I just love Wyn's presence. So we're honored to have you here, Wyn, and anything you'd like to share about yourself, just go ahead. I'm gonna let you do that.
Well, I'm just very honored to be with you. One subject that I really do not like to talk about is myself.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, well, because I used to, one of my mentors years ago said that I was self-obsessed, and I hadn't realized I was, point one. And even if I was, I would have pleaded that that was a good idea. And I'm really glad 10, 12 years later that I've seen the error of my ways. So the example would be here with you. I would say that me having any thinking about myself or saying hello to anyone would be the one thing I know that would make any presence go further away. Now, I'd be thinking about here as opposed to here. So I just be playing the game of being a human being and letting what is to show up. That's how I would myself right now.
So what's
Beautiful.
showing up for you now? How would you introduce yourself to someone that doesn't know who you are?
A curious soul who is to finally be very happy in his own skin.
I love that. How did you get there?
Well, through a lot of trial and even more error, I'd say. Um, by looking in all the wrong places, really up in here, um, to think harder in order for me to think less. I was doing that. And also I was looking externally for validation based upon a misunderstanding or a myth I had that there was something in me that needed validating. I didn't realize I'd made all that up. Hadn't realized that I'm the same as everyone. No better, no worse, just an ordinary soul living the life the best that they can, moment to moment, and that's it, really. And what's different now, to your question, Melissa, how did I get there? But to realize that any thinking I had to the contrary of that was only taking me more out of the feeling of peace in my own skin and being at peace with myself. And so I just saw that everything I was trying to do to feel peace was taking me further away from it. But as blatant as that is now, my intellect and my ego was completely oblivious to it, or it was pleading for its own existence and its own importance by thinking it was the thing that I needed to buy into and do more of in order to feel how I feel when it's quiet. And when this is quiet, all of a sudden the only thing that occurs is peace, inner peace. It's just a really magical thing that happens.
I love that. I love this too because I kind of picked up the subject or topic that I kind of wanted to just, loosely talk about, whatever comes to us, is just the new year. And as the new year approaches, this is where we find we get a big surge of people believing that they need to fix their self and then believing that those answers are outside themselves. And then, let's say we give it a good go, right? Because I've done it in the past many, many times. We give it a really good go and we get, a good few weeks in, and then we stumble, and then we're like, forget it. There's no changing me. This isn't working. This diet, this whatever it is for the new year. I'm going to give in and I'm going to eat my sugar and that's it. Those kinds of things that we do to ourselves always at the beginning of the year. And I know I've said before in a podcast, never, realizing that every moment is a new moment. And if you stumble, it's okay, because you have the very next moment to do something different, try something else, to just get quiet, like you were pointing to, Wyn. Just get quiet and see what comes to us and see where that takes us, because it took me to the most beautiful place ever, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. And I'm pretty sure everybody can agree on that one.
Well, and the thing with New Year's resolutions and trying to change, it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of trying, and it's a whole lot of, this is not right about me and I need to fix it. And if I've learned anything from the three principles, if I'm trying, I'm getting further away. And I think that's a huge, huge thing for me, especially like this year coming into the new year. It's like, no, I don't need to change anything except for stop trying so hard. We make things so damn complicated and hard on ourselves without even realizing it. I had a moment the other morning, and it was what my life used to be. The turmoil, the crisis, the personal crisis egg, over an egg, because I couldn't flip it and it stuck to the pan, and my life, I'm failing at life because I can't flip a damn egg. But it's like, what I love about this is don't try so hard. Sit in the quiet. Be with yourself, and we don't have to try to be better. Because when we stop trying so hard and stop trying to fix things and make things right and make them work out, we sit in the essence of who we are. And the longer we sit there, it's like stoking the fire, and the brighter the light gets. And then we start thinking and mess it all up again. Yeah. Wayne, I got a question for you. So, this is probably something that I've struggled with. A lot of what you were saying earlier, I really resonate with. Like, I find I'm quite similar. I go through periods where I understand I'm embodying the three principles, and then I'm knowing the three principles on a logical level. I kind of go through both. And my question is, how do you stop turning the three principles into another thing to do, another way to manage yourself, when you're a highly self-aware person whose mind can instantly weaponize understanding into control? Because I can see it intellectually, even have real insights, but then my system goes right back into monitoring. Am I in thought? Am I resisting? Am I doing it right? Why isn't this lasting? So what's the missing piece that shifts this form? I understand the principles to I'm genuinely living in them, especially for people like me and my clients who are addicted to self-improvement, terrified of being seen, and secretly using clarity as a performance standard. I know that's quite a long question.
That would be a PhD paper right there with that. That was beautiful. And at the same time, I mean, it's so common, exactly what you said, that I can relate to that, Melissa. But I would imagine that most of us can, to varying degrees, of everything that you just said. Here's how it looks to me. I don't think you can embody the three principles, because that would make it into something, into a doing, and to me, it really isn't. To me, it's the way that I see it as it's a description of how we as human beings work, not on what to do. And the number of people who say things like, and I'd have been the same, I'm living the principles. It's like, no, it would be like I'm living gravity. No, gravity is. And to me, when I saw it as a description of how we work, and then to see, and I kept needing to see this, and I keep going there, to what extent is it true? Not as an idea or an intellectual thing, but an absolute truth, regardless of what I think and how it might look to me. Is it how it is? That's what shifted everything for me, is to see that. So here's an example. So one of the principles is mind, thought, consciousness. And mind for me has always been a tricky one, because I would understand thought in its, well, I thought I understood thought. I really didn't. But it's the one I thought I could grasp easiest. I could relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Mind was one, or universal mind, a mind beyond personal mind, a mind bigger than brain, a mind that isn't got anything to do with Wyn, but it feels everything that we all are. It's what makes my hair grow. It's what changes turns eventually the chicken in my chicken soup that I had for lunch into keratin, which will be my hair. But I do not have to do anything about it. To me, is a miracle. It's a miracle that I fall asleep without willpower being involved. I wake up without willpower being involved. My pupils dilate and contract. The nutrients from this tea is being taken in the way that it will. My kidneys will be doing all of that amazing stuff. I don't have to think about the next word I'm going to say. It just happens. Without my intellect, ego, personal brain, memory, all that stuff doesn't seem to be involved. I find it so easy to not see or respect that. And yet it's been there all along. And even before I existed in this form, the potential of it was there in the formless field. And at some point in the future, everything that I'm made of now in its physical entity will be something else in a different form. And I have no say in that, no control. I think, not long ago, that would have really freaked me out. Until I realized that me trying to get control was effectively blocking the deepest part of the intelligence that there is, that's far more intelligent than my IQ, far more powerful than my ego, far more powerful than my personal mind. What really runs the show is something far bigger than I could ever imagine. And when I saw the truth of that for myself, the idea of me doing anything about it just disappeared, because that would be just, why would I do that? Why would I want to be the puppeteer of the universe when I've always been the puppet? When I remember my place in that, now it doesn't mean I'm not involved in anything, but I'm not running the show. All of a sudden, all that thinking disappeared, that I needed to be something else, or needed to be pulling the strings of life like a puppeteer. All of a sudden, something else happened, which was enjoyment. And all of a sudden, what happened was me seeing what was already beautiful in the entire world that I couldn't see because I was trying to control everything. And all my thinking was, here so thick, so cloudy. So how it looks right now, as I sit here, I'm either living or I'm thinking. And even when I'm thinking, I'm still living, but I'm missing the point. I'm missing the beauty of what is when I'm stuck in my head. They're both living the principles because there's no, how do I escape gravity? Well, on this planet, we can't, because the only time we escape gravity is when we leave the planet. And as a human being, to me, it's as intrinsic as psychological and our emotional operating system is what is described as the three principles of mind, consciousness, and thought that thankfully Sydney Banks 52, 53 years ago had an insight about that has enabled us to put modern language and a modern understanding around what's always been intrinsic in human beings. Or if I was to say it even more simply, I can either be living or I can think about living. And I know which one I prefer. Not to diminish thinking, but to think that I have to think myself to know what it is to live. That was just a mind. Not that, thankfully, I've seen a little bit about the error of my ways. And by the way, I'll do it probably 3 or 4 times before I go to bed tonight, because I'm human. I'll get tripped up and tricked into thinking hard about things. Yeah, probably before the end of today's recording with you. Gonna happen.
Well, and it's hard because we're set up to think about living, aren't we? We can't really stop ourselves. I can't. Like, there's so much thinking. And I recognize it so much more now, and I can step out of it. But that's still that's like a everyday thing. And the hardest part about it is you're not remembering to do something. It's remembering to stop doing it. Just stop thinking. I spend so much time thinking and it doesn't get me that far very much of the time, gets me stressed out and trying to control. And even though it's an illusion of control, it can be hard to let go of.
Until we get an insight that we see that is just not, we have zero control and we're better off for it. And to me, and that's just speaking about me, right? Until I saw that and realized that and had an insight about the fundamental truth of that as it looks to me, yeah, control looks like something I will fall into. And it would seem like a good idea, but it seemed, I don't know the last time I thought control was a good idea about anything. It's been a while, and I'm really happy because I know that the notion of me controlling how I feel and what I thought and what other people thought and felt about me was a real great shortcut to either self-consciousness or depression, and sometimes both.
Mine's frustration. I have a tendency to analyze everything, like every little thing. Even if I have an insight, like I have this insight, I'll feel it and I'll feel it in my body and I'll be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then as soon as I become like, that was an insight. And then I deconstruct it in my head and like, fuck off. Just let me enjoy it, you know?
F off is now a new insight, by the way. That's the cool thing about it. I just saw what I was up against and up to. Yeah. Analyzing it.
Yeah. And then I'm like, then I'm analyzing the fact that I'm analyzing it. And then it just, oh my God, I'm like, oh my God, my mind just will not stop. And I'm like, and I know that I'm creating this and I'm on this loop. And then sometimes I have been able to do it where I'll be on this loop and then it's like I've got handbags or like bags and I just drop them. and then I drop them, and then I have like a couple of seconds of this quietness, and then I'm picking the damn bags up again. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna let myself pick up the bags and do whatever, and I'm gonna. It's almost like I can then watch myself doing the doing. It's really weird. My mind is very busy.
Well, I relate to that. And then the permission to be a human being, which includes picking up the bags when we know better, but we don't until we do it. Because in that moment, it's, look at me thinking that this is a good idea to pick up these bags again. All this thinking looks like it's a good idea. And yeah, I think what helped me was just realize that I cannot be anything than a human being. And human beings have thinking to them that looks real and relevant. The end. I am innocent, even when I think I'm not. And I'm the same as everyone, even when I think I'm not. And one thing that I found this to be such an amazing thing to notice about people. What makes us so similar is that we think we're the only ones. I'm the only one to do this. And then listening to, I don't know how many people over the last 15 years, it's like, no, I haven't heard of anyone who doesn't do what you've just said. Oh, that we're all in the same boat.
I got another question. So before the three principles, I did a lot of things like what's his name, Joe Dispenza, and I've done the Silver Mind method and all these kinds of things that enhance psychic abilities and natural healing and stuff. And I found that I was resisting the three principles because it kind of felt like it was taking the magic out of it. Because everything, like all of that, was like you was doing it with your mind. And so my question is, although I know that the three principles is kind of how that happens, when we're talking about things like goals or healing or anything like that, where these other modalities teach you how to use your mind, I had this resistance, like, no, because I know it can be easy. Like the three principles is just like, stop trying to use your mind and let go of it and stop trying to control. I'm not sure what the question is. I'm trying to find the question within that. I don't know if you can see
Can I
where I'm
take a
going with that.
stab? Yeah, well, I don't know. So let me see if this fits. Can I use my intellect to heal myself? Is that the question, or am I off?
I know that it's not intellect that does it. How do you ask for what you want without asking for what you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do I heal without putting my thoughts onto it? Because it's the
Right.
thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I know. I think I know what you mean. I think it comes down to what extent are we, as a biological, emotional, psychological, chemical, blah 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 organism, designed to come back to health? And I think we are.
So basically, it's not that we're asking to be healed, it's that we're getting out of the way of being healed.
And I think the more thought and control that comes into things, I think that's inherently what gets in healing's way. That's just what I think. Now, there could be, going back to the notion, Jennifer, that you mentioned it earlier on about New Year's resolutions and so forth, about, need to fix. And sometimes we have an insight which does not come from analytical thought. It comes from, to me, the feeling is somewhere else. And it's just like, the number of times I have them in early January, but not on December the 31st in order for me to be ready at midnight to now have a New Year's resolution. They just occur. Or sometimes they'll happen in the middle of May. There's no time scale for these things. There to me is just feels like a wise or even common sense thought that says, hey, I don't like the way I look in the mirror when I try on these jeans. I can lose some pounds here, lose some kilos. And that takes care of things. But if it comes with a I should, or else, there's something in that raises cortisol and stress and therefore cortisol, that isn't healthy unless it just evaporates again. I think it puts more thought in the system, and more thought in the system is, in my opinion, never a good idea until we see it. And when we see it, it's like, oh, put more thought in the system, then we can be free of it if we're not judging ourselves. Or let me give another example. So I noticed I had pain in my left ankle on Friday. Felt tight and painful. And I'm going, I should do yoga again. It was really good for my ankles when they got tight and my lower legs. I should. And then I noticed that my foot was moving. I was stretching it. Well, I didn't do that. Well, oh, that just happened because it felt like a really good idea. And I think there's a lot in our design that's that way. Most things seem to be in that way. The example would be, here's a physical one that to me is a really great signal that maybe we are designed for health as opposed to anything else. We're designed to come back to health. The fact that when we have an infection, bacteria or virus or anything else, that the body naturally creates more white blood cells and knows where to send them. What it also does, it raises the body temperature, which helps the body fight what shouldn't be there. It's really smart. It's really smart. It's got millions and millions of years of wisdom to that. We wouldn't be here without that. Now, it doesn't mean I will not reach for vitamin or vitamin D, depending on where we are in the world, vitamin or vitamin D, when I think, wait a minute, I'm low on light, I might want a bit of a help here. Or if I'm thirsty, to have some more water. And I think we're naturally wise to do things that's good for us. And it's thought appearing real, including there's something wrong with me that needs fixing, that takes us out of that wonderful equilibrium that, left to its own devices, we naturally come back to. I think the word is homeostasis. That we return to health. And I know that's true for us physically. And it makes no sense to me that would also be true to our psychological and emotional being. So I think, left to our own devices, we are absolutely fine. And at some point, we have the idea that we're not, and then we believe it. It's a really long answer to your question. Sorry.
It made me think about something else as well. So a couple of months ago, I had this cyst on my back. It was about the size of a golf ball. It was huge. I could hardly move my arm, like really. And it had been there for ages. And I was considering getting it removed. And this part of me was like, no, because I know I can get rid of this myself. I know I can do it naturally. And I thought, you know what, one night I went to bed and I was visualizing. I was using my mind visualizing, which is thought. And it was quite fun, actually, because as I was visualizing it, I was seeing this cyst on my back and I was seeing this door. And I opened the door and there was like this little tiny peephole that was open door. And basically it was like in my head, this is what's going on in my head. There's this people inside that got stuck. They got trapped behind the door. And now these little blood things were coming out letting it out. I woke up in the morning, it was a quarter of the size of it. I'm like, what the fuck? So it's like, I know that my visualization was thinking. It's like, how far can we take that? how can we use thought to help us? Because that's what like Joe Dispenza and all that does. But then I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to use thought because that, do you know where I'm going with that? Like the thought can emphasize it, or can we actually?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to know what Jennifer and Crystal thinks. What each of you think in a moment. The question I have would be, maybe there are some things that are meant to be mysterious and they will remain so.
Mm,
Because I know when I try and rationalize everything,
yeah.
I suck the life and joy out of things. Some
Yeah.
things maybe they're meant to be a mystery, especially the question, because I know there's no end to this question. How do I live my life right?
Mm,
Absolute horrible question that just sends me into a tailspin because there's no answer to that question. So I don't know if anyone can reduce a system the way that you have. And I don't know what the cause and effect are. I am way, way beyond my pay grade.
mm.
You know, the good thing is, hey, your cyst reduced. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. I mean, it's gone now. Like, it's totally gone.
Crystal, Jennifer, I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
My thoughts, I think sometimes we overcomplicate it. I think that our intellect, our thinking is a wonderful tool. And when we're not trying to figure everything out and control it, it'll come to us when to use it, like visualization. And when it comes to us to do something and we listen to that, I think that it makes it work better, because when we listen to our wisdom and use tools the way they were meant to be used, our wisdom is going to open it up even more and allow it to be used to its full capacity, or higher capacity than when we're trying to make it work the way we want it to work. And I think the hardest part for me is not trying to rush wisdom and decide what wisdom's going to tell me what to do, because that's just more thinking. And I have the thinking, it's there. But and I struggle with this. I struggle with this on when do I move, and when do I, what to do. But yeah, I think that when we get in alignment, when we can really see our thinking for thinking, allow the quiet, and then feel moved to use our thinking in a certain way, I think that that's when we make it, that's when the good ideas come. Um, Crystal?
Sure. One thing I have to say that came to me when you were talking, Jen, and just going along with all of this, it's like you're saying when to, like we'll know when to use the right tools, right? What came to me is like grabbing a screwdriver when you need a hammer, when we're intellectually trying to work something out and we think we know better than mind or the principles. Well, then we're going to pick up whatever tool we think is the right one. And I think it's beautiful, Wyn, what you're pointing to, how physically our bodies are made absolutely to heal themselves. The fever, yes, the white blood cells, they know exactly where to go, in the body. And it's wonderful and it's amazing and miraculous. And yeah, I'm sure there's the science behind it, right? I used to be a nurse. I know there's the science behind it. However, I really truly believe that mentally and emotionally and spiritually, they all work the same way. They all can do the same thing. But somehow when it comes to the, the psyche and the mental and the emotional, we think all of a sudden we're in charge. We know better. We know, oh, yep, I need a hammer for this job. And and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to need glue for that one. And we just are just winging it. And it's causing all of this stuff up here when we just let it be. It knows what to do. And I say that because I don't. You know what? If I pick up those bags, and I know this is going back a little bit, Melissa, where you say, and I just pick them back up. If I pick up those bags, I am well aware I'm picking up those bags. I am making a conscious decision to do it. And I love that because I don't pick them up that often, but when I do, I'm also a bit stubborn. I'll set them down when I want to. So sometimes when I want to be in a little bit of a low mood, and I know that sounds funny. There's probably people like, why would you want to be in a low mood? Why would you want to be a little sad? Why would you want to be a little mad? Well, because I'm a human being, and sometimes I want to be those things. And so I do. I pick up those bags sometimes and I'll carry them as long as I want to. Now, does that last like it used to? Absolutely not. It used to be before I even knew anything about these principles that worked, even though they were still there, like you pointed to, Wyn, and we've all talked about way before we existed in form. I would carry those things for a long time. I did. I carried lots of them for decades and decades. And now the beauty of it is I know, not without thought, no thought goes into this, no thought. I know I can set them down. I know that I can come back to quiet. I know that all of this is inside me and I don't have to do anything except let it be. Like I've said before, and kind of like you were saying, I love how you put with gravity when that was beautiful. Like
Yeah.
I've said before, we can't push the principles around. As much as we think that we want to be in charge of them, we're not. We'll never control them. And so I don't. And the other thing that came to me when you guys were talking and the things you were asking, Melissa, radical faith and trust and let it go. I just have this radical faith and trust that things are going to work out. Even if they don't look like they are, I'm not in charge of that part. Because sometimes when they don't look like they're working out the way we want them to, and there's our ego and selfishness maybe coming in a little bit because we know better than the principles again, we get a little upset. We get into our thinking. It's really easy then to get into our intellectual mind and start making up stories about what's going on and why is this happening and all of that stuff. When if we just let the principles be the principles and stay out of their way, except we have no control over any of that and live. Yeah, live every single day. It's beautiful. And that's honestly, it's not like I don't trip, but there's a lot of times when I do, I enjoy the trip. It's, I know it's a little silly, but I do. I enjoy the trip. I don't know if anything I just said made any sense.
It did. It did. And something that just kind of came to me when we go into something, when we go into life trying to heal because we're broken, I don't think that we realize how much static and noise comes with that single thing. I need to heal comes with I'm broken, I'm not right, something is wrong with me. I'm, I'm different. Nobody else gets it. It just comes with noise. And like Wyn was saying, we're set up to heal. You know, if we get a cut, our body goes to work to heal us. I would like to think that our psyche is the same. And when it's trying to heal itself, we add meaning to it. You know, every time we get triggered, every time something comes up and we relive that moment, it can be devastating. Or when you understand it's coming from thought in the moment and you just allow it to pass and continue on, that's the healing part. Not in analyzing it, ripping apart, trying to figure out what caused it and what it means. Because that's all noise. And that's coming from someone who lived in noise. I mean, that's all I knew. But it's like, even with my bipolar, just taking that label and all the noise that it brought with it, and then all of a sudden, you know, this good feeling, this quietness, well, that's just, you know, a symptom of my mental illness. Because that's more thinking. I think the more we think about things and the more we think we have to heal, the more healing we need to do. And as we stop looking in that direction and start looking in the, holy shit, I'm life itself and I already know what to do. I just got to stop thinking about it and trying to figure it out, because, you know, I personally don't know what to do. But the life running me, the same thing that's beating my heart and running my kidneys and breathing my lungs, knows what to do. And I think that I've struggled a whole lot less personally when I started looking at the fact that I'm already whole. And I might not know what to do, but life does, and I am life. So the more I stopped believing that I needed to be fixed, that I was broken, and the more I started believing that, you know, there's this force that I can't see, that I don't understand, that I'm never gonna understand, but it knows what to do. Whether it, you know, in whatever form it comes in, it knows what to do. But the more I look at my diagnosis is what's wrong with me, the labels that I have, the more hopeless I feel. So I think the big on healing yourself, we have to stop looking at what's wrong with me and start looking at what's right and looking at how it fixes itself. And when we put our attention on that, we no longer have all of these, oh, well, I'm not tall enough and my hair isn't the right color and I need to lose weight. And it's all on where we put our attention, I think, on healing or being broken. Because when we believe we're broken, we're going to show up broken every time. When we believe that we can heal ourselves, if we stay out of the way and we stop trying to do it ourselves, it just allows for that to happen.
Yeah. I feel like that. Go on, Wayne. I was going to say, I feel like that is what happened with me with the cyst. Like, before, I was trying to control it. I was trying to fix it. And then I had that kind of, it was kind of an insight. It was kind of like an inspired thought. Well, I'm going to try that. But it come from a place of fun, curiosity, not, I'm trying to fix this because it's really annoying me and hurting. And then because I feel like because it would come from that energy, like, that may not have done it, but it may have been able to it may have been able to put me in that energy for my body to really get the good hormones or get the good releases of whatever it is, instead of cortisol, it was coming out with a happy feeling. And so that allowed my body to then heal.
Yeah. All the healing was happening, and that story in your mind was your real time awareness of what was already happening. So cause and effect, I think, would be a mystery on that. And that's when I know if I think I am the cause of things for that, then I will turn that into a prescription about now what do I do about everything in my life. And now I'm really caught up. But the other thing regarding our psychological and our emotional well-being, health, I don't think there's anything other than health. There isn't anything. So if something happened that upset me 20 seconds ago, it's done. There's nothing there anymore. Now, I might still be thinking about it and therefore feeling what happened 20 seconds ago. The only way I can feel whatever I'm feeling is via thought now about an event that's no longer happening. And when I realize that, and to the extent that I understand that that's how we work, that I'm feeling what's going on in my head right now, I'm not feeling the external world, even if it is 5 seconds ago, it's already gone. It's already in the past. My emotions are really a reflection of what's happening in my own mind, not the external world. Then, if it's true, if that's true, and if it's true that thought is a constant flow and a stream of different thought that will constantly be having fresh thought coming in, unless I am now taking a thought and thinking hard about it, and then I won't even notice all the different thoughts that come through. That's me innocently, and I mean innocently now, thinking about a feeling and keeping it stuck. I'm already, there's nothing wrong, and it will just evaporate in the same way as every feeling and every emotion that we've ever had does that. I remember vividly my brother's grandson a few years ago, and he'd been sleeping in the car as he was going from his house, driven by his mother, my niece, to my mother's house, so the little guy's great-grandmother's house. It was like a 20-minute drive, and he'd been asleep in the car, and he was woken up because he arrived at the destination. And of course, kids sometimes, when they're fast asleep and get woken up, they're crying their eyes out because they don't want to be awake. He sees me because he hasn't seen me for a month, and he's laughing his head off, and the tears are still coming down his cheeks. And it's all of us. That's what it is to be human. He'd not yet had the idea that that was wrong, and therefore it's absolutely fine to have all those blends of emotions all the time. Until I make up that that's wrong, I'm free to feel anything, and there's nothing wrong in feeling anything. And, going to what Jennifer said, I had that diagnosis for me like 21, 22 years ago. I don't even recognize it anymore as a thing. Because to me, it's kind of obvious now. When someone is feeling low, depressed, their thinking looks really serious to them. And far more likely to take things personally, and thought and feelings look permanent, problem, blah, blah, blah. In a different state of mind, in a different mood, the exact same thought has a totally different feeling in it. So it's all that is the mood. And they take care of themselves, left to their own devices. Our moods we go up and down. I didn't know that. I thought there was something in me inherently that needed to fix. And because I was thinking so much about feelings I didn't like, I would think more about them. And then they would get lower, and then they would stay fixed in place. And then I didn't sleep after a relationship that broke down. I didn't sleep for a year and a half because I had so much on my mind. So I didn't understand how we really work. I didn't understand the truth of this human experience. And I still don't, but I know that much more, and it's completely changed my life. in a way that I know there has never been anything wrong with me, even when I thought there was. It's a different life. I now feel grateful to be alive. I enjoy my life. I am, at least once a day, I'm feeling really grateful to have been born. And that that wouldn't long ago felt impossible for me. And here I am.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. There was strange noise in my house, and I was under the impression that I had a bad dog running loose by himself, but he was supervised, so we were good. But
That was
yeah,
beautiful. Go ahead.
it's really something when when you can be grateful to be alive, huh?
Yeah. And grateful for your past as well. Like, I know past doesn't exist, but I really struggled for a while with my past. And now, every single part of my past, I am so grateful for. Like, genuinely, like, the love comes out of me. And I'm so grateful for everything from it. And when I tell people that are not in this kind of community, who don't understand the three principles or how the mind works or any like forgiveness type thing, they're like, how can you be grateful for that? Like, how can you not be angry? I'm like, because I'm not. I'm just so grateful for it. And that, to be grateful for things that most people would be like, I could never forgive that. It's very just empowering, but like, I guess ordinary, but also extraordinary. You get what I mean? Like, it feels so normal, but it's also one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah. Gratefulness was one of the first things I changed. Like, before I found the principles, I found myself in federal prison. Um, just not medicated, no drugs, no, and my life had fallen apart once again. But it was in that I realized I had to change how I saw myself and how I saw the world. And I was in SeaTac prison, federal prison. It's in Seattle and Tacoma, and it's a tower. So there was no outside, no outside. Yet they still issued coats because it was so damn cold in there. And it should have been the worst thing in my life. But it was in there that I learned how to be grateful, that I learned to see myself in not such a harsh way. And, by the time I left prison, it's like I could easily say that I was grateful for going to prison because, I spent my whole life trying not to be alone with myself because I didn't want to be alone with a crazy person. Who would do that to anybody? And it took prison and being locked away to realize that um, I didn't have to be so afraid of myself, to realize that the quiet wasn't gonna eat me up and spit me out. And it is crazy when we can be grateful for the things that are supposed to break us.
That saying, the life's happening for you, not to you, means a whole different thing now. Go on, Wayne, I think I cut you off.
Well, whatever I was going to say was not as profound as that, so I'm glad you cut me off. So if that's what cutting off does, let's all do that. There's a little bit of a joke in that too, because it's something that would be easy to hear. So you watching and listening to this, it would be really easy to hear anything that we've shared as a prescription of, okay, so now I'm going to be grateful. It's flipping it in a way that like Jennifer's egg wouldn't flip. That's the way that we can't flip things around that way. In my experience, the feeling of gratitude, when it's genuine and authentic, comes from inside, and it's a result of seeing something and understanding the changes, as opposed to, I will now act grateful. There's a whole world of difference between acting grateful in order for therefore me to try and trick myself into feeling gratitude, as opposed to the feeling of gratitude coming from above, or within, and also the feeling of humility and the feeling of oneness and the feeling of insight. They can't be thought into being. They can't be grasped from outside. They come from within as a result of something being seen and felt from within. Or another way of saying it, we can't trick ourselves to reverse engineer so many things, which is what so many paradigms and how to live your life paradigms are all about that. And from personal experience, having tried a bunch of them, all they did was get me more neurotic and more into, I need fixing because what I read in a book wasn't working. So now it really must be something wrong with me. No, it was just a misunderstanding. And to me, what the three principles have done for me was help me understand a little bit about how human beings work. That's made me very grateful to be human. And therefore, adore the fact I'm alive. And anyone I know in that feeling of adoring the fact they're alive and enjoying the fact they're a human being, everything that they do has a totally different vibe and a feeling in it. We tend to do an awful lot better. And even if we don't, we get to enjoy our life. And isn't that the point?
Yeah. What you just
I
said.
don't know if that's true, but it seems to me to be kind of like, yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what you just said, like, bang on, so bang on, because I done that as well. Like, I tried all these gratitude lists and everything that I was like doing every morning. I was like, it would make me frustrated because I'm like, I'm writing this and I should be grateful for this and all that kind of crap. But when you do feel it's a complete different vibration. When you feel that genuine gratitude, it comes out from inside you and it just makes you feel so warm and light. And it's like, you can't fake that. You can't fake that. And you can't try to manipulate it or try to make it happen. It just happens. Yeah. I just wanted to say, like, honestly, bang on, because I felt that. Go on, Jen.
I have one last question, Wyn. One of the biggest things that you had to notice that helped you start to get this, like, for example, with me, I had to first check into the speed of my thinking because I thought really fast all the time in every direction. And then I wondered why it felt like the world was collapsing in on me. And it's like that one thing, once I started really checking in with how fast I was going, not even caring what direction or anything, but was able to start slowing it down, things started getting easier for me. What's one of the big things that made it start getting easier for you?
Well, one of the first things that I saw was I was thinking more, hoping I'd think less.
Thinking about not thinking. Did that a lot.
Yeah, or I don't know how I'd say it. It wasn't that, but it was. I was just thinking hard. And the metaphor that came up with my then coach back in, I think, 2012 when this happened, so, pushing 14 years ago, I realized I was drowning and drinking water thinking that would save me. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, of course, that wouldn't be smart, but I had to see that for myself. But I also wanted to share one of the more recent ones that's made a massive change for me in the last 18 months. And this is from an insight that I had, but I didn't know it was true, but I suspected it was true. My suspicion was that human beings do everything better with a more relaxed mind. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. My intellect and my ego hated the idea because they wanted to be, they wanted to exist really and to think that they were in the driver's seat of this person's life. But I realized, well, wait a minute, I want to figure that out. I want to see if I can notice how relaxed my mind can get. Because I know I can't do that. I can't slow my thinking down. I cannot think myself to thinking less. I can't think myself into having a relaxed mind. But I can notice the feeling of it. I can notice the feeling of a relaxed mind. And to allow that to occur. It's been an extraordinary last 18 months to realize that that's true for me. I enjoy my life more. The impact in my work is higher than I could have anticipated a year and a half ago. I know I've seen nothing compared to what's possible to see, hopefully for many years to come. For as long as I'm alive, I hope to continually be humbled by how little I know today. Yet I do know that when my mind is relaxed, I am feeling more what it is to be alive as opposed to in the contaminated, innocent thinking that a human being can have on their mind. That's changed things again for me so recently. So that's what I felt like I wanted to share.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed being with you today. It's been very enjoyable. Thanks for all the great questions and sharing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank
Really
you so much.
appreciate you coming.
It's beautiful.
I'm honored to have been asked. So thanks.
Thank you so much.
And if everybody could like, share, comment, let us know what you've heard. Let us know any questions you have. And if anybody wanted to reach out to you, Wyn, how might they find you?
Well, because of my name is quite distinctive. So W-Y-N, only one N, W-Y-N, Morgan. There's only two people with that name that have got any kind of presence online. One is an economics professor, head of economics in the university. I'm not him, even though we do get messages for each other, but I'm the other guy, Wyn Morgan coach, and I'm easy to find. Either do a search on Free Principles or just my name. I'm very easy to find, and I'd be delighted to hear from anyone who wants to hear more and even arrange a chat. I'm always open for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.